Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahāsangha, Sayales and dear brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we will be continuing on the Hetu Gocchaka, the root cause cluster, and we will be diving further into the three unwholesome roots, Lobha, Dosa, and Moha. So the first couplet of this Gocchaka is Hetu Duka, root couplet. And the two terms are Hetu Dhamma, states which are root causes, and Na Hetu Dhamma, states which are not root causes. Now we go back to the Nikkepa Khandang. Tatta Katame Tayo Akusala Hetu. There which are the three unwholesome roots, Lobo, Doso, Moho, greed, hatred, and delusion. So first we will look at Lobo, greed. Tatta Katamo Lobo. There what is greed? Yo, that which is Rago, passion, Sarago, infatuation, Anunayo, seduction, Anurodo, compliance, Nandi, delighting in, Nandi Rago, taking passionate delight in, Chittasa Sarago, infatuation of mind, Icha, wanting, Mucha, languishing, Ajosana, gulping at, devouring. Next we come to Gedo, greediness, Paligedo, omnivorous greediness, Sango, cleaving to, Panko, a slough, Eja, longing, Maya, illusion, Janika, genitrix, Sanjanani, progenitrix. Tibbini, seamstress, Jalini, she who ensnares, Sarita, the flowing stream, Visattika, she who is diffused, Suttang, the thread, Visata, diffused, Ayuhini, she who urges, Dutya, the consort, Panidhi, aiming at, Bhavanetti, she who leads to rebirth, Vanang, the forest, Vanato, the jungle, Santavo, intimacy, Sineho, fondness, Apekka, longing for, Patibandhu, connection, Asa, appetite for, Asisana, hoping for, Asisitatang, anticipation, Rupasa, Saddasa, Gandhasa, Rasasa, Pottabbasa, Labhasa, Dhanasa, Puttasa, Jivitasa. Appetite for visual shapes, sounds, odors, tastes, the tangible things, for getting wealth, children, or life. Jappa, mumbling, Pajappa, murmuring, Abhijappa, muttering. Jappa, mumbling, Jappana, act of mumbling, Jappitattang, state of mumbling. So the four terms that follows Jappa are all variants of Jappa. So what it really means is whenever something is given to a greedy person, he will keep on muttering, this is mine, this is mine. This has been given to me by so and so. And that process of muttering is what is denoted here by all of these terms. Lolupam, self-indulgence. Lolupayana, self-indulging. Lolupayittam, state of one who is given to self-indulgence or intemperateness. Puchanjikata, agitation or fluster. Sadhukamyata, keen desire. Adhamma rago, incestuous passion or passion for what is improper. Visama lobo, lawless greed. Nikanti, wish or hankering after. Nikamana, hungering for. Pattana, entreating. Pihana, envying. Sampattana, imploring. Kama tanha, sensuous craving. Bhava tanha, craving for existence. Vibhava tanha, craving for non-existence. Rupa tanha, craving for material form. Arupa tanha, craving for immateriality. Nirodha tanha, craving for annihilation. Rupa tanha, saddha tanha, gandha tanha, rasa tanha, poddhabba tanha, dhamma tanha. Craving for visible shapes, sounds, odors, taste, the tangible and mental states. Ogo, a flood. Yogo, a yoke. Ganto, a tie. Upadanam, grasping. Avaranam, obstruction. Nivaranam, hindrance. Chadana, covering. Bandhana, bondage. Upakkileso, depravity. Anusayo, latent bias. Pariyuttana, obsession. Lata, a creeper. Vevichang, avarice. Dukkha moolang, root of suffering. Dukkha nidana, source of suffering. Dukkha pabhavo, production of suffering. Mara paso, Mara's trap. Mara balisam, Mara's fishhook. Mara visayo, Mara's domain. Tanha nadi, the stream or flux of craving. Tanha jala, fishing net of craving. Tanha gaddula, leash of craving. Tanha samuddo, ocean of craving. Abhijja, covetousness. Lobo akusala moolang, greed as an unwholesome root. Ayang uchyati lobo. This is called greed. Now we come to the Atthasālinī description of each of those terms. So first we take rago, passion. Passion is the exercise of lusting. Sarago, infatuation, has the sense of strongly lusting. Anunayo, seduction, is the repeatedly leading beings in the fields of sense. Anurodho, compliance, is to comply with. That means following after one's desires. Nandi, delighting in, refers to this, that by greed beings in any existence feel delight, or greed itself is a delighting in. In taking passionate delighting, Nandi Rago, we get the first term combined with delight. Craving once arisen to an object is delight, Nandi. Arisen repeatedly is passionate delight, Nandi Rago. Infatuation of mind, Chittasya Sarago, means that the term described above is not of a permanent being, but only of consciousness. Wanting, Ichcha, means that by greed, objects are wished for. Languishing, Muccha, means that through the strength of the lower nature, creatures languish with greed. Devouring, Ajjosana, is to grasp by swallowing and finishing. Greediness, Gedo, means that by greed, beings become greedy, practice greed. Or greediness has the sense of thickness, as we speak of a forest being thick or dense. The next term is increased by the prefix pali. So pali has been added to gedo. So it is increasing the meaning of it. So it means omnivorous or voracious greediness. Cleaving, sango, means that by greed one clings or hangs on to. Greed is slough, panko, in the sense of submerging. Eja, longing, in the sense of drawing towards. As it is said, longing draws this man to and fro for rebirth in this or that plane. Illusion, maya, means deception. Chanika, genitrix, because greed gives birth to beings in the round of life renewed. As it is said, it is craving that produces a person. His mind is what runs around. Progenitrix, sanjanani. Here, a prefix san has been added to janani. Enchaining or sanyojanamana, beings in that round by suffering. So now we will look at that entire stanza. Kimsu janeti purisang, kimsu tassa vidavati, kimsu sansara mapadi, kimsu tassa mahabbaya. Tanha janeti purisang, chittamassa vidavati, satto sansara mapadi, dukkhamassa mahabbaya. What is it that produces a person? What does he have that runs around? What enters upon sansara? What is his greatest fear? It is craving that produces a person. His mind is what runs around. A being enters upon sansara. Suffering is his greatest fear. Tibbini, seamstress, as swing. For as a tailor sews cloth to cloth, so greed sews, stitches beings in that round by way of disease and reconception. Hence, seamstress is said with the meaning of sewing. She who ensnares, Jalini. Craving has a net of manifold sense experience, or a net quivering and far fixed. Sarita, flowing stream, as drawing along by a swift current or as wetness. For it is said, feelings of pleasure flowing along from all objects and filled with fondness arise in people. And both adjectives are meant here. So to get a better understanding, let's look at the entire stanza. Saritani sinehitani cha somanassani bhavanti jantuno. Te satasita sukhesino teve jati jarupaga nara. Feelings of pleasure flowing along from all objects are filled with fondness, arise in people. Pleasure dependent, they seek happiness. Those people undergo both birth and old age. Visattika, she who is diffused, is spread out, diffused, extensive, compelling, deceptive, misleading, poison-bearing, poison-rooted, poison-fruited, poison-enjoying, permeates, or that craving is spread out, extended over sights, sounds, odors, tastes, tangibles, ideas, over family, over a multitude. Suttang. The word thread refers to loss and disaster, as if greed were a string securing a tortoise. As it is said, the thread bhikkhus is a term for passionate delight. So here in the Samyutta Nikaya, there is a story. And that is where this word sutta has come from. So I will just tell you so that you will understand the word better. So once there was in a lake where a large family of turtles lived. And one day one turtle said to another, "Dear turtle, don't go to that place." But of course, ignoring his friend's advice, this turtle went to that place. And what happened? A hunter pierced this turtle with a harpoon. And later, the turtle managed to go back, and then the friend, when he saw the turtle returning, he said, "I hope you didn't go to that place." But this turtle said, "No, I went." Then now the friend asked, "But I hope you are not hurt or injured." "No, I'm not hurt or injured, but this cord keeps dragging behind me." The friend got very annoyed with this, and then he said, "Indeed, you are hurt and injured. Your father and grandfather met with the same tragedy because of such a cord. Go away. You are no longer one of us." So here what had happened was this hunter had thrown a harpoon at this tortoise, and that harpoon was attached to a long cord. So because of that, he put the entire colony or the entire family of turtles in danger. So here, this is a story to denote a few things. The hunter here is a term for Mara, and harpoon is a term for possessions, honor, popularity. And the thread is a term for passionate delight or Nandi Ragu. Visata, diffused, means spread out over objects of sense. Ayuhini, she who urges. Greeds make beings toil to get this and that. Dutiya, consort. As a companion, greed does not permit weariness or disenchantment, because greed prevents being from becoming disenchanted with samsara and makes them take delight wherever they are reborn, like a beloved companion. Therefore, it is said, the man companioned by craving wanders on this long journey. They go from this state to another, but don't escape samsara. So here the complete stanza. The man companioned by craving wanders on this long journey of samsara. They go from this existence to another, but don't escape samsara. Having understood the danger thus, that craving is the origin of suffering, a bhikkhu should wander mindfully, free from craving without grasping. Forest, vana. In that greed clings to, attaches to, sticks to this or that object, or as begging. Vanato, jungle, which is the same with an extra syllable. Or whereas a forest is likened to strong craving as being a jungle where obnoxious trees have grown up, vanato means as dense undergrowth, a yet stronger craving. As it is said, bhikkhus, cut down the forest of corruptions, not just a tree. From the forest of corruption springs fear. Having cut down the forest that brings rebirth and undergrowth that brings course of existence. Be free of craving and deforested. Santavo, intimacy or close association, is consorting with, meaning intimate connection. Of the two kinds, tanha santavo, association born of craving, and mitta santavo, association born of friendship. The former is meant here. That means tanha santavo is what is meant here by santavo. Fondness, sineho, is attachment. Apekha, longing for, is the exercise of producing attachment. And this too is said, these, O king, are your 480,000 cities, the chief of which is the royal city of Kusavati. For these, O king, let desire awaken, quicken thy longing after life, that is, cling to life. Patibandhu, connection, as of kindred. Greed connects us with individual objects of thought, or is individually akin in the sense of a relative. For in the sense of a constant dependence, there is no relative equal to equal craving. Asa, appetite. From greed's consumption of the mind's objects, meaning both a spreading itself over them and partaking of them without gaining satisfaction. Asisana, hoping for, signifies the function. Asisitattang, anticipation, the corresponding state. Now to show the objective of that craving, the following 9 terms have been said, wherein taking the meaning of asa to be appetite. We get yearning for visible and other objects. Of these, the first 5, that means rupasa, saddasa, gandhasa, rasasa, pottabbasa. These 5 refer to pleasures of sense. The 6th one, labhasa, refers to greed for requisites, and this is specially mentioned for recluses. And then, of course, the other, dhanasa, puttasa, jivitasa is the appetite for wealth, children, and for life. The 3 following terms refer to the basis of a layman's insatiableness. For to them there is nothing dearer than wealth, sons, life. This belongs to me. This is mine. Such a man has given me this. This has not been given to me. Thus, greed makes people mutter, hence mumbling, jappa. And the following 2 terms, that's pajappa, and there was another term, I can't remember it. So there, it's, abhijappa, pajappa and abhijappa. The meaning is increased by means of the prefixes. Following these, begun so as to classify the next 2 by a different way. So again, the word jappa is brought forward, that is mumbling, because now they are giving a different classification. Jappa, jappana, jappitattang. So jappana means act of muttering, and the state of muttering is jappitattang. Lolupo, self-indulgent, means a repeated plundering, hauling along in the fields of sense, followed by lolupang, self-indulgence, self-indulging, lolupayana, state of one who is given to self-indulgence, lolupayita. Puchanjikata, fluster, is the name of that craving by means of which people go about agitated in places where anything is to be gained, like dogs wagging their tails. Sadhukamyata, greed is keenly desirous of what is agreeable, of objects. The state of being such is keen desire. Passion for what is improper, adhammarago, such as for a mother or aunt, etc., is incestuous passion. Greed, which is strong, although arisen concerning what is proper, is visamalobo, lawless greed. Or from such expressions as passion, rago, or lawless, visama, whether proper or not, the lustful desire arisen is called incestuous passion, adhammarago, in the sense of being unrighteous, and lawless greed, visamalobo, in the sense of being irregular. Nikanti, hankering after, desirous objects. Such an act is hungering, nikamana. Pattana, entreating, is wishing for things. Pihana, envying, is the act of envying. Earnest entreating is imploring, sampattana. Kamatanha is craving for the pleasures of the 5 senses, that is sensuous craving. Bhavatanha, craving for existence, is craving for existence, whether it is material or immaterial, whether it's rupa tanha or arupa tanha. So both of these are subcategories of bhavatanha. Vibhavatanha, craving for non-existence, is the desire not to be reborn, and it's called annihilationistic view. Craving for material form, Rupa Tanha, is craving for a purely material existence. Craving for the immateriality, Arupa Tanha, is craving for immaterial existence. So those two are basically craving for being born in a Rupavachara or a fine material sphere realm. And when it comes to Arupa Tanha, is craving for a birth in the Arupavachara, the immaterial sphere. Passion for opinions, Ditthirago, is accompanied by annihilationistic view. So annihilationistic view is Uchcheda Ditti. Craving for cessation, Nirodha Tanha, is craving for annihilationistic view. So craving for cessation is again, it goes along with Uchcheda Ditti. Craving for sights, Rupa Tanha, is craving for things seen. And it goes on in the same manner for sounds, saddha, gandha, odors, and so on. Ogo, flood. States which sink, submerge in repeated rounds of birth. The person in whom they exist are termed floods. Yogo, yoke. States which yoke to repeated rounds of birth. The person in whom they exist are termed yokes. Ganto, knot. States which knot or tie in repeated rounds of birth by way of birth and disease the person in whom they exist are termed knots. As obstruction, avarana, greed blocks the wholesome states. As covering them, it is called covering, chadana. As bondage, bandhana, it binds beings in the round of births. Approaching the mind, greed corrupts it, makes it corrupt, and so is depravity, upakhileso. As anusaya, latent bias, greed lies chronically in us as a strong tendency. As obsession, pariyuttana, it takes possession of the mind that is arising. It seizes on the turn of good conduct by not allowing it to arise. Such is the meaning. So, obsession here, pariyuttana, whenever greed is there, it acts like a barrier for the wholesome consciousness to arise. So it kind of blocks good deeds from arising. There's an example given here. In thieves plundered the wayfarer. Drunkards plundered the wayfarer. So here it is implied that they seized the way. So here also obsession, pariyuttana, is to be understood in the sense of taking possession. So basically, if there are thieves on the road, the people who are traveling are not allowed to move forward. Similarly, if there are drunkards walking on the street, people who are the travelers are unable to go peacefully. So the obstruction here is by greed taking possession of the mind and hindering it from generating wholesome deeds, wholesome karma. Greed is like a creeper, lata, in the sense of enveloping, where also it comes as the creeper rears itself and stands erect. This craving is spoken of as a creeper. Next, as avarice, vevicha, because it wants diverse things. As the root of suffering, dukkha mula, that is, of the sufferings of life renewed in rebirth. Source of suffering, dukkha nidana, refers also to those sufferings. So does production of suffering, dukkha pabhavo. Greed is as a snare, paso, because it binds. Mara paso, Mara snare, is the snare used by Mara. It is as a fish hook, balisam, because it is hard to disgorge. And it is the fish hook used by Mara balisam. It is Mara's domain, Mara Visayo. Because overcome by it, beings cannot get past it. Mara assumes authority over them.
那这里
It is a stream, Nadi, in the sense of flowing, Tanha Nadi. It is Tanha Jalang, fishing net of craving, in the sense of covering, spreading over. A leash, Gaddulang, because by craving beings are firmly bound and led, as dogs are led wherever you want. Tanha Gaddulang. And as hard to fill, craving is like the ocean, Tanha Samuddu. So by all of those synonyms, what we were describing was lobo or tanha. So probably the reason for giving so many synonyms is we need to understand tanha or loba very well, because that is exactly what we need to eradicate in order to free ourselves from this samsara. Now we move on to doso. Hatha katamo doso. There, what is hatred? Anattang me achariti agato jayati. Anattam me charatiti agato jayati. Anattam me charisatiti agato jayati. When annoyance springs up at the thought, he has done me harm, is doing harm, will do harm. So here it's in the three tenses, past, present, and future. Piyassa me manapassa anattang achari peyalang anattang charati peyalang anattang charisatiti agato jayati. When annoyance springs up at the thought, he has done harm, is doing harm, will do harm to someone dear and precious. Now the first instance was when a harm is being done to me. Now it is when harm is being done to someone dear and precious to me. Appiyassa me amanapassa attang achari peyalang attang charati peyalang attang charisati iti agato jayati. When annoyance springs up at the thought, he has conferred a benefit, is conferring a benefit, will confer a benefit on someone I dislike. Now, the third one is when someone confers a benefit. There's something good to someone that I don't like, that I dislike. Then that again is in the three past, present, and future tenses. So these are the 9 instances where those hatred arises. And the final one, attaneva pana agato jayati, or when annoyance springs up groundlessly. So sometimes annoyance can spring up without any particular reason. People can just get irritated or angry for no reason. That is what is called attaneva pana agato jayati. Yo eva rupo chittasa agato, vexation of mind, patigato, resentment, patigang, repugnance, pativirodo, hostility, kopo, ill temper, pakopo, irritation, sampakopo, indignation, doso, hate, padoso, antipathy, sampadoso, abhorrence, chittasa vyapatti, mental disorder, manopadoso, detestation, kodo, anger, kujjana, fuming, kujjitattang, wrath, doso, hate, dussana, hating, dussitattang, hatred, vyapatti, disordered temper, vyapajjana, upsetting, vyapajjitattang, state of being upset, virodo, opposition, pativirodo, hostility, chandikkang, churlishness, asuropo, abruptness, anattamanata chittassa, displeasure of the mind, ayang uchati doso. This is called hatred. So here, as we mentioned before, in the first group, the harm has been done to me. In the second group, the harm has been done to someone close to me. And the third group, some benefit has been conferred on someone whom I don't like, whom I detest. And that again, we think of it in terms of the past, present, and future. So we get 9 in total there. And the 10th instance is when annoyance springs up groundlessly, meaning anger without any reason. For example, someone can get angry saying it rains too much, or it doesn't rain, or they can say the sun is too hot, or is not hot enough. They can get angry when the wind blows, or when it doesn't blow. Get angry at being unable to sweep away the Bodhi leaves because the wind keeps blowing the leaves here and there, or the leaves keeps dropping. Or at being unable to put on his robe. He gets angry with the wind. In slipping, he gets angry with a tree stump. So if he slips and falls after hitting his leg against a tree stump, he gets angry at that. So these kind of things are called annoyance arising without a proper cause. So in this context, the annoyance that arises with reference to beings, in the 9 examples that we mentioned earlier, they result in kammapatha or akusala kammapatha, unwholesome causes of action. Whereas the final one, the 10th one, annoyance without a proper cause, arises towards sankhara, conditioned phenomena, and it doesn't create such a distinction of kammapatha or causes of action. Chittassa agato, vexation of mind, is mental vexation. Stronger than that is resentment, patigato. Repugnance, patigang, is the exercise of resistance. Pativirodo, hostility, is that of opposing. Kopo, ill temper, is getting angry. Pakopo, irritation. Sampakopo, indignation. The terms are intensified by means of the prefixes pa and sang. Doso, hate, is offending or spoiling. Inpadoso, antipathy. Sampadoso, abhorrence. The terms are increased by means of the prefixes. Mental disorder, chittasa vyapatti, means upsetting of mind. Detestation, manopadoso, is hatred corrupting the mind as it arises. Kodo, anger, is the getting angry. The mode of getting angry is fuming, kujjana. The state of one angry is wrath, kujjitatta. Doso, hate, may be defined as by it associated states offense the object, or itself is offensive, or as mere offending. And now we are talking about the characteristic, function, manifestation, proximate cause, the lakkana, rasa, padattana, pachupattana. It has flying into anger or churlishness as characteristic, like a smitten snake. So a snake who has been angered is the simile given for the characteristic. Spreading of itself or breathing as when poison takes effect. As function, or burning that on which it depends as function, like a jungle fire. Offending or injuring as manifestation, like a foe who has got his chance. Having the grounds of vexation as proximate cause, like urine mixed with poison. By it, the mind reaches the putrid state. This is malignity, vyapado, or it ruins the practice of the vinaya, the attainment of beauty, of benefit, of bliss. This is ill will. In meaning, it is just doso, the preceding term. In the exposition of hate, that which offends or hates is doso, hate. Hating, dussana, is the act or mode of offending. Hatred, dussitattang, is the state of the offending mind or person. Offense in the sense of forsaking nature is disordered temper, vyapatti. Upsetting, vyapajjana, is the act or mode of such offending. That which opposes is opposition, virodo. That which opposes repeatedly is hostility, pativirodo. That is said of the mode of the opposing or hostile person or mind. On account of this fault, not a word is well chosen, but is ill spoken, not completed. This is abruptness, asuropo. In anger, there is no finished speech, or even if speech during anger is so, it is without measure. For asuropo, others read asuropo, dropping tears, because of tears being shed. This view is not reasonable, because a happy person may also shed tears. So asuropo and asuropo are not the same thing. As to the term anatta refers to displeasure of the mind as it is opposite to the happy state, as explained above. But because this is of the mind only and not of a being, therefore it has been said to be of the mind. So here the displeasure, they say, of the mind and not of the person, because it is not of a being that it happens to the mind. We come to the last term, moho. Tatta katamo moho, there what is delusion. Dukkhe anyana. Dukkha samudaye anyana. Dukkha nirodhe anyana. Dukkha nirodha gaminiya patipadaya anyana. Lack of knowledge of suffering, of knowledge of the origin of suffering, lack of knowledge of the cessation of suffering, and lack of knowledge of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Pubbante anyana, aparante anyana, pubbanta aparante anyana. Lack of knowledge of what has gone before and what is yet to come. Lack of knowledge of both past and future. Ida paccheta paticca samuppannesu dhammesu anyana. Lack of knowledge of phenomena dependent on conditions, knowledge of phenomena arising from dependent co-arising. Yang eva rupang, then there is anyana, lack of knowledge. Adassana, lack of insight. Anabhisamayo, lack of understanding. Ananubodho, lack of comprehension. Asambodho, lack of enlightenment. Appativedo, lack of penetration. Asaṅgahana, lack of grasping. Apariyogagahana, lack of sounding. Asampekkana, lack of judgment. Apacchavekkana, lack of reflection. Apacchakkamma, lack of perspicacity. Dummejja, unwisdom. Balya, childishness. Asampajanya, obtuseness. Moho, delusion. Pamoho, the dullness, that is stupidity. Sammoho, obtuseness. Avijja, ignorance. Avijjogo, the flood of ignorance. Avijja yogo, the yoke of ignorance. Avijja anusayo, the latent bias of ignorance. Avijja pariyuttana, the beings obsessed by ignorance. Avijjalangi, the barrier of ignorance. Moho akusala moolang, delusion as an unwholesome root. Ayang uchchati moho, this is called delusion. Ime thayo akusala hetu, these three are unwholesome roots. The exposition of delusion should be understood in the opposite way to what has been said in that of non-delusion or amoho. And in every respect will be made plain in the commentary on the Vibhanga. So with that, we come to the end of our discussion. If you have any questions, you can email them to this email address, as we don't have any time to take any questions now. The next lesson will be on the 1st of March. It's now time to share merits. I would like all of you to join me.
现在老师，请大家呢跟老师一起呢做这个功德的这个回向。
Akasatta cha bummatta deva naga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasana chiran rakkantu desanam chiran rakkantu mamparam. Idam me ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satan samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattaya. Idam me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idam me punyang nibbānassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sabba sattānaṃ bhājemi. Te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labantu. Buddha sāsanaṃ chiraṃ tiṭṭatu. Buddha sāsanaṃ chiraṃ tiṭṭatu. Buddha sāsanaṃ chiraṃ tiṭṭatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you so
Sadhu,
much
sadhu.
for explaining, Doctor.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.